I survived 100 days in medieval Minecraft, hunted by dragons, surrounded by enemies, and driven by one goal, to become king. Let me show you how I exactly did that. Welcome to my first 100 days video ever. So day 1 begins, and just like anyone else, it's time to get some resources. Now I am absolutely stoked about this mod. I was excited, I was very much like keen for all of it. Now we come up to my first tree and just start gathering some wood. Obviously we need to get some tools made. Now, to become a king, I have to be patient. I really wanted it straight away, but I knew I had to wait. After gathering some oak wood, I needed to start making my tools, and especially a crafting table. It was very nice that I was in the plains biome, because I could start getting wood and food easy. I made sure I made my shovel, my sword, and my pickaxe. So I started making all of it. I wanted to explore the world. I needed to know what was going on. I needed to know what I was dealing with, and I needed to know if I was going to survive. Now, on the first bit of exploring, I come across some pigs, and obviously I need to have some food nearby. Already on my first day, I'm having so much good luck. I got some more herds of pigs and started killing them because I still need more food. It hurts that I have to kill them, but I need to survive. Now, I got some more wood just to make sure that I'm absolutely stocked up in case I need to build a shelter. I couldn't believe how lucky I was getting. I already found a herd of sheep, so that means I can make a bed straight away. While I was exploring, I didn't even notice that this was a structure. I was just mining for cobblestone to get a furnace made. It's still crazy to me that I didn't even realize I just wanted to get a furnace made so I could have cooked food. I need to make sure that I could actually even have my food, so I started cooking it up as much as I can. Now, I don't have any kind of coal, so I had to use wood as fuel. I made sure to eat it all, no crumbs left. I finally had a look at this structure and I noticed a chest. As soon as I looked at the chest, an instant mob just spawned in front of me. I had no idea what it was, but it scared the hell out of me. Then out of nowhere, he just hits me. I tried hitting him back, but it seems like I couldn't even do anything. I didn't know if he was invincible, but I kept hitting him and I found out that he could take damage. I thought I could defeat him by judging how many hits he can take and how much damage he does to me. I felt like I was going to be here forever. So I just gave up, mined everything and ran away. I didn't want to take this risk on the first day. Who am I kidding? Am I going to take a mob on like that and fight it myself? I can't do it. As I'm exploring, I come across some interesting structures that I want to take a look at. For some reason, I kept gathering wood just because I felt unsafe. I didn't know if I was going to be attacked or if I'm going to be ambushed. I just had no idea. Then I came with this funny little chicken structure that treated chickens as gods. Now they had some interesting signs saying that I could give something to them and I will get something in return, but I did try it and it didn't work at all. Maybe I was tricked. But back onto my journey, I saw some cows at the top of this little hill, and boy was I happy with this. I also took the advantage of getting more cobblestone and coal. Now night was approaching us, so I needed to get all the coal and cobblestone that I could just to build up a shelter and actually have light. Now I just built up a little small room just to be safe in. For a first day, I was very happy with what I got. I got food, I got stone, and I got a bunch of coal just to live for the first day. Night was here and it was finally time to head to sleep. Now the next day I had no plans on what I was going to do. I needed to figure out what was happening, who am I looking for, and what the hell I can do to start building my kingdom. Didn't matter the amount of food, the amount of resources I had, I wanted my empire. But I had to stay patient, even though that I was growing insane over it. Now I kept killing sheep just to make sure in case I lose my beds in the future. Near where I made my base, I found this little outpost that was interesting. Little did I know that I was about to be attacked. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just a person exploring the world. I went to go to the front, but these horse archers started shooting me. I hated being a coward, but I wanted to survive. I'm lucky that they didn't chase me all the way down to where I was going. And yet I thought that was the worst thing that was going to happen to me. Little did I know that when I came across this mountain, there was a dragon on the other side. Yeah, no, I was going to start building a little cave inside. I could hear the wings of it starting coming towards me. And I thought, surely not on the second day. But that didn't stop Minecraft from sending all the possible things that could kill me in a day. Now I went digging under the ground, hoping that it wouldn't be able to do anything, destroy any blocks, blow fire in. I just needed somewhere to stay. But I couldn't stand the sound of the wings just being near me. I needed to get out of here. I was not going to just sit by here and let a dragon just be around me. When I opened the blocks. I was lucky. The dragon was stuck. I made the move to get out of here as quick as I could. I never expected to see a dragon in the second day of playing this game. You would think you'd only see them in the rare biomes, but nope, I was wrong. Either way, we escaped and it was time to keep exploring again. I needed to find a way how we're going to get started on this kingdom. But it felt like all these NPCs were guarding everywhere around this location. If I was going to keep running like this, I needed to cook up more food to stay alive. Now, I was hating how much I was running endlessly around this world. I realised that nighttime was hitting and I needed to find shelter immediately. With luck out of nowhere, I found this interesting tower that was in the middle of the land. And of course, I was gonna take it. What else was I gonna do? I had a quick look around to see if there's anything interesting in this tower. I couldn't find anything of use though. But with how today's been, I really didn't care and I needed to set up somewhere to sleep. I was absolutely baffled on how this day was. However, the day came to an end. As the next day started, I looked at this tower a little bit more, but I found out the stairs go down even deeper. You know when you hear that noise, that is absolutely terrifying. It was getting darker as soon as I went down, but I found this little entry with iron bars surrounding it, only to realise it was a dungeon. You may wonder how I know that, but look at the place. Dark alleyways, doors, different ways to get in. This is obviously somewhere we're gonna have to fight something. Now, I had a look through all the chests. My goodness, they had some good loot. I was lucky enough to find iron swords, iron armor, everything. Man, even enchanted books, even on the first stage. I was waiting for the mobs to come though, and I was terrified of what I was gonna fight. I kept searching for all the areas, trying to get more loot, as it was giving me a head start. There was different potions, different weapons, different kind of enchantments that I could use. But then I finally found my first mobs, creepers. Oh man. Now obviously we know how to deal with creepers, so I went in there, made sure I got some shots in. When you have no armor, you have to be so much more careful in this game, it's crazy. They were a lot more easy to kill with this sword I got, and then I started exploring the other rooms, and I found one with spiders. It was good that I explored the chest before, because I reckon I wouldn't have survived with what I had then. I finished off the spiders and had a look around the room. Now, I quickly mined this mob spawner just so I don't get ambushed. I came across this hallway and I saw my first set of zombies, but these guys were very much armored. They even had shields and tools, so I needed to watch out. As I started mining the spawner, I got completely ambushed. So I ran away to the next door just so I could be safe and ambush the zombies myself. I was lucky enough that the zombies didn't have tougher armor, so I could take them on. Now, I couldn't tell if it was getting dark or if it's still day out there, so I started searching as quickly as I could in hoping that I could find more loot before I leave. Creepers and spiders were no match for me, so this made it easy to fight them. What I was happy with is that I wasn't getting ambushed all the time. With this room being cleared, I found this chest and it had a great iron pickaxe that I took straight away. It was time to get out of here. I spent a lot of the day in here and I needed a break. There was a couple of skeletons along the way that I quickly took out before I got to the stairs. You don't realise how much time goes by when you're in here. I was actually convinced that it was night, but it was actually day when I was trying to sleep. Now, I know everyone can keep hearing the screeching sounds of the dragon, but I felt like that it was stuck again. With that in mind, I left the premises immediately because I am not taking on a dragon. Now, I went to an outpost to see if he would still attack me, but these guys were different. These guys were called the Empire. Now, honestly, I was pretty jealous of that. These guys looked like they were prepped for war, but I couldn't tell who was in charge of this area. I started walking into the little camp they had, and it looks like no one wanted to talk to me at all. This guy looks like he was in charge, as he was highlighted. But I left the camp anyway, just to see another castle that's close by, and a creature that was flying around that I thought it was a dragon, but it was friendly. And yet this castle wasn't as friendly. But that did not matter at all, as a dragon, a big red one, had come down out of nowhere and started attacking, and I ran immediately. The dragon sightings were starting to become common, and I was not liking it. In spite of all that, I found a grand village filled with people, defense, everything. Everyone was watching. Then I realized it was the Empire, the guys at the outpost. This was one of their biggest kingdoms that they had. It was filled with shops, filled with guards, and filled with loyalty. A lot of people were happy with how the kingdom was running, and I was really jealous of that. They had a little tavern that I entered into, and I found out it had beds, and it was time to head to sleep with the biggest day I had. Now, when I was up here, I found a dinosaur in the chest and no one saw. Now, with this day started, it's time to leave this nice guarded area. Yes, it is what I asked for, but I really wanted more. I had a look around at other stuff that they might have. They had churches, they had guard buildings, they even had defense towers nearly everywhere I went to. Right behind it, there was another village as well. This empire really had everything. They had the biggest structures that I've seen in the game. However, that wasn't going to stop the might of the dragons attacking this town. You know what I did? I bolted immediately. I knew that they were going to be attacked. Look at them. The soldiers are going after him and the dragons completely killing all of them. His rules were getting way more stronger. This wasn't an ordinary dragon. This was a boss. And somehow the Empire thought I brought the dragon in and they started attacking me. It's like that nobody likes me or trusts me in this game. I found another village that I just waltzed past through. Looked very nice, but I wasn't wasting time. While nighttime was hitting, I found another castle that I could potentially have a look at, and I was hoping it wasn't the Empire, but boy, I was wrong. The soldiers recognized who I was, and boy were they gonna kill me with those shields and weapons. I tried standing my ground, hoping they would come to their senses, but that didn't do anything at all. In fact, I was just getting completely annihilated by their arrows and spears. I couldn't even break through their shields, so me hitting them was pointless. After night completely hit, I took out one of their soldiers just to get revenge, and then I ran away as quick as I could, but I was not gonna let this slide in the future. The next day was here, and I found this nice brick-laid house that wasn't occupied. When I went down below, I found out again it was another dungeon, but I wasn't going to take it on because I just wasn't ready and I didn't have the loot. And if I wanted to go further, I would have to have the goodest armor I could possibly have. After staying in the house for a while, I found out it was time to go again. Now I needed to find a little cave that I could sleep in. There was plenty of food, this area was really nice. The only thing is, it was dark and I needed to see light. I used the advantage of making a furnace and used the iron bars as the area to block myself off. As I was still a little bit panicky what was coming after me, but I quickly used the furnace to make light. I was very lucky for all the food I was getting. It felt like I was blessed. Even if I was struggling, there was food everywhere. But with that in mind, that calls for a nice simple day 5. With 6 days in, I was getting tired, and I was getting annoyed. No colony, no army, no type of protection, no resources, nothing, and I'm gonna change that. With this new area that I'm in, I'm gonna gather up as much supplies as I can, and I'm also gonna make sure I terraform all this new land, just so everything's flat. I'm gonna make sure all these new empires, all these barbarians, all these dragons suffer for all the pain that they have caused to me. Clearing out this land is the #1 priority. I need to make sure that I can actually even fit the blocks, I don't have any interruptions because time is running out. Now I'm using cobblestone to level with the land. It doesn't matter what I use, I just want the land leveled. My vision was planned, I knew what I was going to do, I knew what I wanted, and I knew I could get it done. There was no way I was going to survive the next 5 days if I kept going the way I was. The land was coming along nicely, it felt pretty smooth, and I noticed it when there's nothing around me, which I'm very lucky for. It was time to start making my own colony. Let's do it. What I have on me is called a supply camp chest. This is the beginning of my colony that will get people to come over. We had this building tool to maneuver, but I nearly killed myself. Thank God I didn't die. But look at this place anyway. This is just the start. Now, in this area, they had something in this chest called a building tool and a town hall. Before I do all that, I just want to make sure that we're ready to go. I want to make sure that we don't have struggles with the land, and I want to make sure it could be as level as possible. But unfortunately, night was hitting, and I needed to wait till the next day before the fun begins. Day 7's here, and it's time to start getting ready with everything. I grab the building tool and the town hall. I get some more wood, and while I'm doing that, I notice a dragon's dead. I don't know who killed it at all. I couldn't believe it was a week. Time was running out, and we needed to get this colony started. I needed to stand ready for the arrival of NPCs. I had the town hall ready to go, and to be honest, I knew it wasn't going to be built, but this is how it looked. The first thing we have to learn about with this building tool is there's different ways to structure your buildings. It's really useful to make sure that all your buildings look good when you add them in. It also gives you the ability to connect them so they don't overlap each other. Now with the town hall ready to go, that doesn't mean it's going to be built, but it does attract people to come to the colony. And with just in a minute, our first citizen arrives at the town, Arthur. Now this is just the start of many. Before night time, another person comes in. I couldn't believe how many people were coming in just a span of minutes. With this build tool, I could build up other things such as something called a builder's hut, which is giving someone a job to build. And before I noticed, it was night time, so I had to put my excitement to the side and go to sleep. With day 8 here, there was already 4 citizens in my colony. It was time to build the builder's hut so we could actually get a colony going. With the kind of structures you can make, you'd have to be smart on where you are, so we would need stone and oak wood, or spruce wood. Now with the builder's hut already in production, you can actually choose who works on this, and you can also choose the resources. I hired Arthur for this. Now here he comes all in his builder gear, ready to get started. Now with the NPCs, you do have to help them build up, unfortunately, but that's only when it's the Empire starting, as eventually they'll start helping themselves. It would be a real shame if I had to build them for everything, otherwise I would have just gave up on building a kingdom. He also gives you tasks to do to help him build, so it's good to know that he actually needs stuff. I've given him his tools and equipment, so hopefully when I come back he's actually started a bit more. Knowing that I have to provide these guys tools, I went to go out and get more wood, just to be safe so it saves all the time. I found out that I could create a citizen's hut for my citizens to live in. I also found out that a lot of the buildings actually even have upgrades, so I have to upgrade the builder's hut in order to make another building better. While night hit and everyone was asleep, I started just getting the citizen's hut to be ready. Now, I chose to do stone and oak wood just to make sure we don't waste any time with the buildings. We just need a colony set up, as I've said a billion times. Day 9 is here and I want to set up the next builder hut. I'm going to make Jonathan the next builder. Unfortunately, the other 2 citizens won't have jobs for a while because I don't have the resources. I also made sure to give Jonathan a pickaxe and an axe just so he's ready to get started early. Now, nothing else happened for day 9. I know it's kind of a bit bland, but it was just getting the builders set up and all them ready for building our empire. Day 10 hits and I'm going to search for more wood as I'm going to keep helping the builders build up their huts. The thing is, they're going to need help for a while until I have a delivery man. The builders started gaining momentum. Slowly they were getting there, but they required assistance every couple of minutes. And you don't realize how much time that takes in a Minecraft day. By the time builders actually even gained the confidence to build, nighttime was hitting just like that. And what the problem was with nighttime is the builders and all the citizens went to sleep, so it would stop production. Now with day 11 here, the builder Jonathan was making a lot more progress. It was good to see how much the builds were picking up. And after all that, Arthur was finally done with his first building. Good on you, Arthur. After the day started getting a bit more late, I needed a lumberjack just to get more wood. The builders required so many tools that I couldn't keep going out further and further into the forest. With that, the builders got assigned their first job, obviously the lumberjack. The build was very easy to make, so I'm glad it's not going to take up so much time. The good thing with this colony, everyone wanted to work, but I was getting pretty exhausted with having to give the builders all the resources. And between the builders, I had to go back and forth. By day 12, the lumberjack was already built, and it had a worker assigned to it. Her name was Violet. Here she comes right now, getting ready to start her work. By night time, she had mined down a couple of trees, and it was interesting to see how she worked. Days were passing by and the colony was building. I was happy to see how much progress we've made in the last 12 days. With day 13 coming in, I had a look at this outpost that was close by, and I think it was destroyed by a dragon. The outpost had those barbarians that were attacking me before when we were last at the outpost, and I was right, the dragon was shot down by them. Now, I thought to myself, this outpost would be the perfect building to be the first takeover. 2 weeks in and the builders have made sure that this colony is thriving. They haven't got to the point where they can work by themselves, but I'm sure we'll get there soon. The more citizen houses we had, the more people that would come into the colony. We needed at least 5 to 6 citizen houses so a lot of the jobs could be filled. Now with that in mind, we needed to get a mining station made. I figured if we had a mining station and a lumberjack, that would mean the builders could work themselves. With the day slowly coming to an end, it was time to start figuring out my next plans for tomorrow. Now, as day 15's here, we needed to figure out a couple of things. We needed to figure out how we're going to build an army and how I'm going to start taking over other buildings. With the colony building up and gaining more citizens at a rapid rate, I'm going to have to figure out a way to get more resources. And how am I going to do that? Well, I found out there's a couple of ways that I can craft up a couple of NPCs to equip them with weapons. These aren't just any NPCs though, these are soldiers that will work for me. Now, I needed to make sure that all the builders were finishing up their buildings. To get all the stuff that we need more citizens to work in jobs. I know it sounds like it's not going to happen just yet, but this plan was crazy and I was absolutely excited about it. I knew not much was happening, but I needed to know what I was going to do in the future. Today was just about planning, and that's all I needed to figure out what I'm going to do. From day 16 to 20, it was all about just building my empire. I had to get this delivery man made. Now, this delivery man is the reason why my builders started building themselves. I also had to make sure in those days that I was checking that the buildings were getting made, and I also had to check on the mining station and the lumberjack just to make sure the resources were flowing. Now, every second there was always new resources and tools that they needed. It felt very exhausting. After I gave them everything they needed, it was time to get the delivery station made, which is something that will be very essential towards the colony. When a citizen requests something, the delivery man's job is to make sure that the resources are delivered to their station, meaning that they keep working endlessly. I had to be patient, of course, because the delivery station is going to take a little bit to make. Before we got all to the fun part of building our army, I made sure that the building huts are upgraded to their max levels. This means whenever I needed another building upgraded, the builders would be ready as their max level. The colony is coming together, everyone's working efficiently, time is not being wasted. More citizens are coming into the colony, more builders are wanting to work, this is what I wanted. I went around all the stone area near the village and I found out there was some iron nearby. I collected it as we're gonna need a lot of it. Especially for the tools and armor, iron is gonna be the biggest resource that we need. How could we get anywhere without iron? So I made sure that was the #1 priority resource that was being mined for. With all the builders being all occupied, it was time for me to start looking into building our army. Now, all the builders had all the resources that they needed. They were occupied for a long time, so I could focus on what I needed. Something that I missed out on that was very important was the town hall to be built. For some reason, the whole time I forgot that we needed a town hall. I put that build as #1 priority just to make sure the builders focus on that. I found out there's a recipe for steel ingots, and I'm gonna keep that there because we're gonna need that in the future. And finally, we begin making our army. This is called a research book, and you needed to make sure that you can research all the techniques. There's different techniques from siege engineering, leadership, food, everything, just to make your village more powerful. And to get started, why not go with leadership first? When it comes to researching, you need to make sure that you have all the required items before it starts. Luckily, my colony was getting all the resources that I needed, especially the mining station. It was time to gather up all the materials to make my soldiers. With all the pain and suffering we've gone through, this is going to be a good advancement for our colony. All I needed was some gold, some food bundle, and some weapons. And here we are, our first soldiers being created. This is all I needed just to make sure our colony is protected and safe. They required a lot more resources, but it was worth it. I crafted up a couple of iron swords just to make sure that the soldiers would have something to fight with, and of course I'm not going to give some stone swords or wooden swords, it would be useless. And here they are, my first 3 soldiers of the army. The armor looked absolutely amazing, and I'm stoked to have more of them. They required food, so I had to build something called a town hall. Look at them, all ready to go, all ready to fight. I also created a command button that actually tells them where to go, where to guard, and where to leave. This is going to be useful in the future. This is one of the biggest steps we've ever made, and I'm super happy we've reached this far. But for now, I must contain my excitement and go to sleep. For the next 7 days, it was more about building our army and getting it to conquer Outpost. I wasn't just going to stop at 5 soldiers, no, I was going to make sure I had a whole battalion. I wanted archers, I wanted swordsmen, I wanted our soldiers to be ready to fight. I didn't want them to go in outnumbered. You may think I'm crazy, but those outposts were seriously fortified. I'm going to need to have a big army. Now, all the resources were all gathered by up my colony, so I used all of them as much as possible to build up defense and attack force. I couldn't let this colony be burnt down by raiders or other empires. With the army ready to go, we were going to move out at night and take out that outpost that's close by to us. All the soldiers were ready, they were eager for a fight. And I was too, for all the times that I started getting attacked for no reason, this was my revenge. The soldiers looked a bit confused, but I think it was because it was their first war, and then they took on the charge. The archers were doing most of the work, as they could take out all the people on top of the building. The enemy outpost didn't seem to have much soldiers though. I think the dragon took most of them out, but we still took on the last remaining forces. Our forces had moved into the outpost, and just like that, we conquered it. Their army was no match for our swift swordsmen and archers. This is what you get for randomly attacking me for no reason. The good thing about these soldiers is they actually attacked a lot of the mobs as well, so it was easily good protection around our colony. After our first successful battle, I returned back. This victory was just one of many, and I'm happy to see how far we've come as a nation. I will be calling our empire the Shinavy. The soldiers, the armor, everything fits the name perfectly. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to just leave all the soldiers here and guard the colony for a while and let it build up more. The resources we need and all the men we would need to even take on all these castles and outposts would be so much. And even if I got that far, the colony would still be small and they couldn't defend themselves. With all the current men that I have, I made sure that they had patrol routes and guard locations to make sure that the colony is protected. I feel like as the colony grows, it will gain more unwanted attention. But on the good news side, the delivery man shop was made. And that means that the colony will start being able to build themselves. I'm not gonna lie, in a literal aspect, this delivery man carries. Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it? All this fighting has proven to me that we are going to conquer. The best thing about these citizen houses is you could actually upgrade them to level 5 to make sure they can get as much citizens as possible, which led to relationships in the colony, and that would help grow the loyalty. On the 27th day, I would make sure that the army is stationed and I'd get a couple of more resources for the colony. Wool was becoming something that was needed the most. With the next few days, I went to take on the dungeon that's near us. I recognized the outpost from the last one we took on. I still don't have good gear or good weapons, but it was worth giving it another shot. I had one thing though, friends. I had a couple of soldiers come with me on this journey. I needed to see how their skills were like fighting mobs. They could defend the colony, but what were they like going into a dungeon? I was obviously here for myself to see if I could find loot that I needed, and I wanted to fight more mobs. These dungeons were a bit more strange than the others. For some reason, they had broken tiles that led to a lot of loot. There was a lot of iron and a lot of gold, which is really essential to building our army. But those gaps came tricked with other rooms leading to our deaths. The soldiers were doing well, and we were on the second floor it looked like. I kept looking at all the other chests that could possibly have more armor, but even for the second floor there was not much at all. I was actually happy to see how much the soldiers were helping me out. We came across a lot more stronger mobs. I needed to keep destroying the spawners to make sure that I could survive when we don't get ambushed. The chests had nothing that good in there, and I was getting frustrated. Notice the mobs had more numbers coming at us. But the soldiers were doing great work. They kept killing those mobs with no kind of fear. Being stuck in here was something I didn't want either, then we would have to spend nights in here. After going deeper and deeper, we found a mine instead of an actual dungeon room. This would have been a good way to get out, and I was going to use that advantage. There was a lot of minerals and a lot of mobs, so I took the advantage of hiding behind corners, behind walls, to make sure that the zombies can't even beat me. But I noticed that all my soldiers were gone. I couldn't believe it. My first squad of soldiers were killed by these mobs. Perhaps I underestimated on how deadly these mobs are. But I would not let their lives go in vain. I had to finish off these zombies before I left this area. Before I left, I took as much ores as I could. This would become very useful for building up my next armor, and I couldn't wait for you guys to see it. When I got out of there, I saw my soldiers fighting a bunch of mobs at night. It was good to see them actually defending the colony. I knew if I wanted to go further in the dungeons, I would need higher tier armor. With all the iron I got, I made sure to smelt it as quick as possible. And I turned it all into steel ingots and made steel plates. What these steel plates do is help me make advanced armor. This type of armor was simply just called the Knight armor. That dungeon really helped me get all the resources I need to make it. They had knight armor boots, knight armor leggings. This type of armor was going to help me be able to fight with no kind of cowardness. I finished off the full set with the last piece being the helmet called the armet. The armet looked really awesome and I loved the style of it. And just like that, I became the knight of my army. I couldn't believe I've made it this far to the point to where I could represent myself as a leader. With the next few days, it was time to get the army together and start looking for a new area to take over. We had gathered enough resources, crafted enough men, we just needed to take over another outpost. I got all the soldiers that I possibly could form up, and we left as soon as possible. This was going to be a big battle. We found this big outpost about 5,000 blocks away from our base. This was it. This is the battle we needed to go for. The soldiers charged in with me. We came in head on. The soldiers guarding outside were dealt with. It was time to get inside and start killing everyone. My soldiers were doing super well. We were staying together as a group, ready to fight anyone coming in our way. Unfortunately, that didn't last long. They were wiped out by these advanced looking soldiers. I had to get out of there immediately. I've already lost everyone. Just like that, all my soldiers were wiped out in the matter of minutes. It didn't matter how courageous they were, it didn't stop them from being killed in an instant. I had to return home with no one, not a single soul. Even with the colony's buildings being finished, it didn't cover up the fact that losing all those soldiers meant a lot to me. All the loot, everything that required to make them, all gone in an instant. While all this was happening, I just worked on the colony a lot more. I know I've spent a lot of time here, but this is the only safest place for everyone. Over time, the army started growing, medics started coming in, more archers. I knew that we were going to avenge those deaths sometime soon. It's day 40, and the NPCs built me a mighty castle. This has baffled me, how big it is, how great it looks. It's absolutely crazy how a mod can make NPCs do this. Well done, guys. This just looks beautiful. We needed to take a look. For what is a king without a castle? I would make this my base of operations, where everything would happen, where all the plan of attacks would go, where everything would get resources. This was something I needed. This castle was way well done up. It was very detailed, the area was nice, and this little bit here to just look out on the horizon was amazing. I spent a literal day just looking at this castle. I was so impressed with it. I needed to get back to working on the colony and continuing building our army. Instead of getting resources and loot, it was time to get a small squad of professional soldiers that could help me. These guys had shields and one had full iron armor and a spear. After our search began, we found this interesting pumpkin outpost. I had a big feeling that it wasn't going to be friendly, and was I right? My soldiers were on alert instantly and we went straight to the outpost. But these weren't people, these were creatures. The pumpkin men were interesting, the noises they made, this wasn't normal humans. We pushed in immediately, hoping that it would have some sort of materials that we could use for our army. This outpost was absolutely guarded. These enemies were everywhere for some reason, they just kept coming. These guys were very persistent at fighting. I've never seen so much creatures come after us at once. In the building, there wasn't much that I could find, just more of these creatures and a stronger one at best. I was absolutely terrified by the sounds these guys were making. This guy was absolutely beating me. There was other people on the floor as well with different sounds when they were getting hit. I don't know why they were all terrifying. But me and the soldiers kept persisting on defeating this outpost. As I came back up the ladders, this guy turned into a bloody wolf. They seemed like they could shapeshift, which was interesting. We moved on to the next outpost. There was multiple of these pumpkin guys all around the area. I kept killing them to make sure we got money out of them. For some reason they dropped so much money. It felt like these guys had more numbers than the last outpost we were in, but we were killing them with the amount of soldiers we had. I wasn't going to risk going into another outpost again because I nearly died in the last one. And even if I went into one, I would only stay on the bottom level just to check if the chest had any loot. With that being over, we went to this little outpost that still had more of these guys, but we wanted to take it over so we could sleep. Seriously, what were these guys made out of? Luckily for this small outpost, their resistance was becoming weaker. As the bigger dudes were dying, we started pushing in to start killing what's inside. It made sense that all the witches were a part of this. I made sure that the soldiers dealt with them. I didn't realize it, but there was even more witches. Some reason this outpost was just completely occupied by them. With that outpost done, all the soldiers would come in and we could finally start sleeping. With the next day in, it was time to look at the last outpost that these guys had. I don't think I was ready to fight these guys, but I just took it anyway. I gotta give it to these soldiers though, they put up one hell of a fight. This was very much a successful manhunt. After finishing all off the witches, I decided to take a solo journey to go looking for more outposts. You wouldn't believe it, not even far from the other outpost, there was this big massive one that already started shooting at me, and it was all barbarians. This little fortress was absolutely occupied. They had plenty of archers to shoot at me, plenty of swordsmen, everything. The barbarians were the first guys to ever attack me in this world. If I was going to conquer this little fortress, I would obviously need my army to be here. I'm going to kill as many as I can though, to make sure that I don't have to deal with so much enemies when my army arrives. Man, it always feels like I was always being outnumbered in this game. I tried my best to take on as many soldiers as I could. My bow skills were absolutely saving me. I was hitting almost every shot. I thought I was doing a massive hard hit to their fortress, but boy was I wrong. See, I was only just killing the archers that were outside, not in. You'd think I'd be damaging them, causing morale to go low. Man, I wasn't even doing a dint. Yeah, killing all the archers was good, killing all them was helping, but that wasn't doing even a single thing to the people inside. After I get up the walls, this is where I went wrong. There was plenty, and I mean plenty of soldiers waiting for my arrival. I knew I couldn't take them on, but I still gave it a shot. This decision nearly led me to my death. Anywhere I was running, I just got completely ambushed by more soldiers. I was lucky that I found this little wall that had no one, and I got out of there immediately. I still took on the soldiers. I don't know why, but I used an archer against dudes with shields. Yeah, good one, Chen. But I had no idea how to break through them. That was the one thing that I couldn't figure out. It made it hard to even understand. I've tried going up against them with the swords and they just kept whipping me. The only reason I used my bow in all sense is so I could hit their head, but they were all charging me at once. I needed to leave. With nighttime hitting, they were still searching for me. I had nowhere to go, no shelter, no nothing, and I could risk dying pretty easy. Remember how I said before how these guys were hard to kill with shields? This is my prime example. I did not even do an ounce of damage. But after minutes of trying, they would put their shield down, and that was the only time that I could attack. It was so lucky that it was only 2 of them searching for me, not a whole squad. After so many times of trying, I finally got the kill in. This was my sign to leave and run back to my base for reinforcements. If I knew anything, this time we weren't going to lose. I was going to bring the biggest army yet that they've ever seen. And this would be the first time that I would launch a full-scale attack, even with siege engines. There was no more time of being soft, it was time to conquer. We brought every soldier that we could possibly gather. We are not ever facing a defeat again. I gathered up all the soldiers with the command baton so they're ready to attack. And we brought our first siege engine ever, the catapult. I don't care how damaged this outpost gets, it's going to be taken over. It was time to charge in. The gates had been broken. I was done with sparing with lives. No one spared my men. It was time for everyone to go. I told every soldier to make sure every building is broken into, everyone is eliminated. This battle went on for a couple of days. It wasn't just a simple 1-day raid. We needed to make sure every building was clear and they would lock themselves in it and shield up. I knew a way around that. They weren't going to survive this time. I used the siege equipment and broke into the walls, and that made all the men charge in. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, not from the Shanavi Empire. They really thought their shields were going to save them, but you can't defend yourself from the amount of men that I have. I waited so long for a day like this to happen. All that pain and suffering, all the resource gathering, all the time needed to create this to happen. And just like that, we cleared out the last of its soldiers. The outpost was ours. I couldn't believe it. We pushed through and held this fortress. I was so happy with every soldier that was a part of this. This was our greatest victory yet. The morale of our army was boosted majorly. I couldn't believe how far we've come. Even with all the intense fighting, the greatest victory, it was time to return home. It felt absolutely crazy returning home after the massive battle we had. I left all the soldiers there to conquer the outpost and left the commander to run it. We needed more resources from all the other places that we've taken over. After the biggest day I've had in a while, I took a rest at the castle and reflected on how it went. It's crazy how far we've come, especially with all the days that we were struggling and had nothing. After all the fighting, the colony had built up exponentially. The town hall was made, the delivery man was made, the citizens were upgraded, the builder's hut were max level. They were even expanding out further in the map. They built up very quickly for the time I was gone. I thought, surprisingly, I would have to keep helping them with resources. The only thing that we needed was a warehouse. This is where everything would be stored and all the resources would go over to there. The builders were working on a restaurant so the colony could have more places to eat. Arthur's been working here for a while. He was the first citizen. I mean, look how effective he is. It's good that they only need directions to build now and don't need resources or tools because that's already handled. The warehouse was starting to be worked on and it was being worked on by Jonathan. Jonathan is also one of the other first citizens that was here as well. I still haven't developed any plans for what's going to happen in the future. I know my army and I wanted more, but I wasn't ready to go for another battle yet. I needed to make sure the colony was advancing. I also didn't know this, but we have a third builder now named Alexandra. The warehouse was being built up very quickly. It didn't require that much resources. This would also fully mean that I would never have to assist the builders again. Thank the Lord. With day 48 here, the delivery man made use of the warehouse straight away. You could see him doing his job very much effectively. Good on you, man. Right after that, the next builder hut was made. I never knew this, but I should have gone into the dungeons more. I had the armor, I had the shield, I had the swords, and honestly, I had the knowledge about the dungeons. And that's exactly what I did. In this week, I started searching for dungeons. And what I mean by that, I only had to find one, but I wanted to find more floors. I found this one, which was northwest from the base. And of course, I brought some bodyguards with me just to be prepared. I gave the swordsman all iron armor just so he could take on the more heavier mobs. You know how it starts, we get down, we break the iron bars and we start searching. The empty runes is the best bet to find some free loot. But oddly enough, this dungeon was very quiet for some reason. I mean, I came across a creeper, but that was about it on the first floor. Going a bit deeper down, then we started finding more mobs to take on. The chests were kind of the same, a little bit of enchanted this, a little bit of enchanted that. There was nothing really good in them, only occasionally. We needed to go deeper and see what we could take on. You could slowly see the skeleton's armor going to iron. I was lucky enough to have good bodyguards as it is, not to mention that I gave one of them my enchanted sword that I found. I was still searching for areas where I could head down to at least a 3rd level. I knew I was getting close as there was mob spawners going on everywhere. You can usually sense when things are going to get more difficult. I had left the soldiers behind and positioned them somewhere safe because I didn't want to lose more iron soldiers. These dungeons for some reason were always broken when I walked into them. It seems like dragons had gone through them over time. The mobs just kept coming. Out of nowhere there were skeletons and skeletons and skeletons. Even when I tried mining the mob spawners, they would always sneak up and ambush me. This dungeon was getting a lot more harder, I could definitely sense it. There was heaps of near-death experiences. After searching for a while, I finally found the next floor. I was a bit silly to leave my men, but either way, I have to be a knight. I just knew that this floor was going to be way more harder, and even then, I didn't think I could survive it. If these mobs were causing me a hard time, I don't know what it would be like below. I finally entered the next floor, and it looked way different to the other one. Straight away, I'm dealing with iron and diamond zombies. This was going to take a lot of hits to kill them. I pretty much had to keep going back to the start of the stairs so I could just ambush them. They are able to be killed, but you would have to spend a good couple of minutes hitting them. There were no signs of chests or any kind of loot I could find. I kept getting stuck in places that were nearly getting me killed. I actually don't know if it was the dragon or if it was how the dungeon was set up. Nearly every zombie that I was fighting was covered with iron armor. I spent ages looking for loot, but every mob was gradually getting harder to fight. Look at them trapped behind the iron bars. In all honesty, the dungeons wasn't for me, so I left as soon as I could. It just felt like all the armor and weapons weren't good enough to fight these guys. I was a little disappointed to give up so easily, but in a sense, I was more focused on my colony. The dungeon couldn't provide the resources that I needed. And also, I couldn't bring an entire army force to fight. We would scatter and get killed immediately. Not even diamond armor on the soldiers would do us any better. Now, this is the biggest thing that I didn't notice of the whole game. We were attacked by raiders at the start. Now, this was very serious because this meant that the colony has grown to a point to where raiders can attack it. This must have been the first raid though. They didn't have a lot of forces to fight with.
I'll be back.
For some reason, they all had the same voice line as Terminator.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
The last squad of them was right beside me. The archers were shooting.
I'll be back.
This raid wasn't just any raid. This was sent by either the Empire or the barbarians themselves. So that means they found out where my colony is. But luckily, none of the barbarians killed any of the citizens. I found the boss of the raid myself and took him on. We successfully defended against the raid. Everyone was luckily safe and everyone was able to go back to do what they were doing. To make our army stronger, I made sure the colony built an armory, and that came with a blacksmith. This guy would create us weapons and tools so the army could use them. The only other buildings that were going on was more citizen huts to bring more colony members in. The colony was working like clockwork. Every day something was being built. Every day people were getting resources. The colony was also well defended. It had everyone nearby. After a few days, the armory was built and was ready to go. I gave the task to the blacksmith to make sure that he creates up really good armor and really good weapons. Now, why am I doing this all of a sudden? It's because I'm getting ready to build a bigger army, and I'm planning to move away from the colony for a while. There was still a bit to go before we even reached that plan though. I had to make a bakery, I had to get other stuff done. I didn't want to put all this work into the colony only just to leave and find out that it's raided. But the colony can function without me. Within just a day, they built a bakery and a stonemason. So everything was going to plan for the colony. We also upgraded the mining station to make sure we get better resources. All the job was of the stonemason was to smelt cobblestone and put it to stone bricks. When everyone wanted food, they would go to the restaurant and get it cooked for them. At the start, whenever they needed food, I had to give it to them. For the next couple of days, raiders attacked again, but it wasn't much of a battle this time. They felt very easy to kill.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
But something was wrong. Something didn't feel right. The raiders were coming in mass numbers to our village. I couldn't believe it. The raiders were attacking the citizen huts. I got there as quick as I could to see where they were going, and I was following them, only to find out they killed a younger citizen of the colony. These people thought they could kill a young citizen of the colony. Well, they're about to be mistaken for it. This was something that was wrong, something that wasn't needed. They could have killed me instead. I gathered all the generals, I gathered all the equipment and armor. I told them that weapon production is our #1 priority and we're going to get this army moving out. They really thought they could just come to our land and attack everyone. I'd like you all to meet the Shinavy Ironclad Battalion, ready for war. This battalion is made of the most advanced swordmen, shieldmen, and archers. A lot of our enemies are gonna be completely sorry. This force I have will be completely unstoppable and they can't do anything about it. We marched straight away with all the siege equipment ready to go. The first outpost was the one closest to us that we nearly defeated, but I had to run away. Well, that's not gonna happen again. We made sure the siege equipment actually attacks the people inside, not out. There was no mercy for anyone inside. All the troops were approaching in. It was time to fight. My battalion absolutely pillaged this outpost. I told every soldier, no mercy, don't let anyone live. I know I sound crazy, but killing a young citizen is not necessary. Soldiers seemed to clear out everyone, quick. I had no idea that they were even beating me. But every soldier was always surrounding the building. While the battle was raging outside, I made the time to look at all the chests to see what I could find. And honestly, I didn't find anything that interesting. And just like that, the outpost was losing its grip. We had just taken it over, just like that. But we weren't going to stop there, we were going to take more. We found the next outpost and we had already set up all the siege cannons. My forces were all ready, still boosted with so much morale. Everyone was just waiting for the walls to break. For some reason I was terrible at shooting the siege cannons. We moved up the siege cannon just so we got a closer shot, and then we charged in as it hit the wall. They had some soldiers ready to go, but as soon as the might of my battalion came in, they were no match. This outpost was guarded heavily underground. I have to give it to the enemies though, they had soldiers everywhere, just popping out at every corner. And the thing is, every soldier was stuck behind the door. I needed to break it to bring the full force in. This was needed, and look at all of them go, all come in at once, taking out the soldiers defending underground. The sheer force of my army was not to be messed with. I kept breaking all the doors down so my army could all push together. I think sticking together is what helped us win all the battles. We had this place absolutely surrounded. Every bit, all of my soldiers were just conquering it. No matter where I walked, my men was in that room. I have to be honest though, the armor looks so good on them, man. It matches them so well. It costed us a lot of iron to make it. As night was hitting, the battle was looking like it was going to be a win. Another victory was about to be seen in our eyes. We just needed to clear out some of the smaller areas in the building to make sure that none of the men get ambushed overnight. And I have to be honest again, man, the enemy's armor looks just as good as well. I know I didn't speak a lot during the battles, but I want you guys to feel like you're a part of it too. I want you guys to feel like that you're in the war with me. And just like that, this fortress was conquered by the Shanavi Empire. But wait, there's more. Guess what's behind it? Yeah, that's right, a castle. And a big one too. The army's morale is so high that we took on another one. And it looks like it was one of the enemy's main capitals. We got rid of all the forces out the front to set up our siege. And boy, you guys are gonna like this siege weapon that comes in. I know for a fact after this siege is done, I'm going to need a rest for a while. The castle was guarded by a lot of cavalry. They were everywhere. It was finally time to begin the siege. Look at this massive siege machine we have, and with explosive bombs too. This castle was no match for this machine. Even one was enough. It was time for us to push into the castle. We needed to go in full force. I made sure to break down this gate and let everyone in. This was the time to push. We pushed into the inner castle. It looks like everyone was fleeing, but there was plenty of resistance still against us. I had to stand behind the soldiers a fair bit as the arrows were coming down from the upper towers. We pushed right into the main area of the castle. I took on every soldier that I possibly could. Man, they were a hella tough warrior, I ain't gonna lie. Finally got up to the first bit of the walls where everyone was shooting us from, and the soldiers had already dealt with it. We pushed up to the next bit of the castle. I could sense that victory was on the horizon. We finally got to the higher bits of the wall. I don't think these guys are going to bother us ever again. 3 of their buildings have been taken over. After 6 days, the castle was finally conquered. Everywhere around it was conquered. This was one of the biggest victories the Shanavia Empire ever faced. The Ironclad showed true bravery against the enemies. All this over a young citizen that was killed, which is fair enough. A few soldiers and I finally returned home to the colony. It was good to be back home, especially after all the war that was fought. It was also good to see that the colony had not been attacked and they are still thriving. With the last 4 days until 68, I just wanted the colony to build more. I wanted to be away from war, all the kind of deaths, everything. While I was here, I started enchanting my armor. I also enchanted my bow, but when I did that, that gave me an idea. Dragons. I completely forgot that dragons were around. How could I be a king, or how can I be even a knight if I don't even kill a dragon? So I returned back to the castle we took over. Put everything in the chest and just got my equipment ready. We're gonna go find a dragon. Got myself a horse and put all the armor on it. I also had a couple of archer NPCs on me on standby just to help kill the dragon. It was time to go look for one. If these empires could kill dragons, surely I could too. And it's so funny because at the start all these dragons were chasing me, but now they're all ended up dead. However, there was dragons still around and I noticed one immediately. I go for it immediately, taking all the shots that I can. This dragon was going to come after me or not, but I feel like it was going to get stuck. But when I was shooting him, I only killed him in a couple of shots. And as much as I killed a dragon, it didn't feel satisfying. Something was up. Either way, I ended up getting the loot from him. Dragon ends up giving you some meat, some bones, and the dragon head. There's not much that you get. The dragon's nest has so much good loot, I didn't even realize. I should have looked here first if I'm gonna be honest. But then again, I didn't have the equipment to fight the dragon, so what I did was pretty smart. I still kept looking for the dragons regardless. I wasn't gonna make it one dragon and call it a day. No, I was gonna at least take out 2 or 3. The one thing that I was interested in though was finding an underground dragon. I've heard that these guys are the most toughest ones to beat and that I could get a dragon egg. Man, who wouldn't love to have a pet dragon? I know I would. But regardless, we're gonna go look for another dragon on the land. After searching for a while, I found one. For some reason, the dragons kept getting stuck, and I have no idea why they keep doing that. Unfortunately, I had to leave because all the mobs kept surrounding me and was putting me off trying to shoot the dragon. For some reason, every mob just wanted to kill me. But I needed to get a second dragon kill. I just don't think one was just going to be enough for me. It just doesn't seem very appealing and it feels anticlimactic. Then the day starts breaking and I notice that another dragon is nearby. I started taking shots at it and went for it. The dragons could take a few hits, even with an enchanted bow. They would take at least a good 20 shots or even 30 to kill them. I wish I had explored for more. There's a lot of different type of dragons, such as ice dragons, fire dragons, lightning dragons. There's a fair few of them. But the loot you got from them was worth it. And you can also get a dragon egg, but that's only if you go underground. Which shouldn't be too hard if I go searching for them. They have loud noises as they're stage 4 to 5 dragons, and they get louder by how older they are. Day was fully here, and this is where I killed the dragon. The dragon still could take so many shots, but he finally died on this hill. I should have cleared all my inventory before I started killing all the dragons. Man, even then I should have just been clearing my inventory in general. It's very annoying to maneuver everything in it just to get a little bit of loot. With this dragon finally killed, it was time to go looking for more advanced dragons. Like I said, they are underground, so obviously we went searching for them. They were in pretty much places that were open and wide, so I knew that I was going to have to mine for a while. If I could defeat this dragon, this would be a big step towards being a knight or a king. I had no men with me, nothing at all. It was just completely by myself. I didn't need to keep bringing back up all the time. After at least a good 10 minutes, I found an area that was quite open and I noticed that lava was nearby. These blocks that were falling off were helping me lead to somewhere that I know where a dragon could be. But in all honesty, you'd only have to hear the dragon's roars to even know it was close by. I could just feel that I was getting closer, especially being underground and there was all lava nearby. I needed to be careful because every time I sort of broke a block, lava would pour down, and that's not the way I wanted to die. Just every minute I felt like I was getting closer. I could just sense I was near it. I was so excited to take a dragon on, especially a big one. And I potentially could have one as my pet. That would mean I could conquer nearly all of the world. When I finally built up and got out of the little hole I was in, I had a look around to see if there was any kind of openings to see where a dragon is. And just like that, right then and there, a dragon came through with its roars. Only just to realize that its wings were coming through the blocks, and it absolutely terrified me. I realized I couldn't take this on with a sword, I'd have to shoot it with the bow. It was right above me. So I had to make a little sweet spot to shoot it at. You could just see the dragon right there, just waiting for me to come up and absolutely roast me. The dragon started attacking me immediately and started blowing fire at me. I had to go down as the fire could kill me if it got onto me. And just like that, it did caught onto me. I didn't react quick enough. I thought this was it. This is where I was gonna die. I was just gonna burn to death. But I'm lucky the fire had stopped in time and the dragon didn't keep coming down and destroying the blocks. I would have to go back up and fight it, and right there it's in my eyes. I took all the shots I could as it couldn't get me. I'm not even kidding, I had to turn the sound down because the roars were so loud on these dragons. I keep peeping through holes and angles to shoot them at because I was too terrified to take it on. I was so glad I took so many arrows because I was able to actually shoot it. You could see its head right here. I think this one was stuck again, but I had no idea and I just wanted to kill it. There is definitely a significant difference with these dragons compared to ones that's on the land. These ones have way more bigger body structure and way more bigger wings, and even the head is quite more larger. I kept shooting at it, hoping that it would just come to its senses to die. I wasn't coming out of this little hole I was in. I was using this to my advantage as much as possible. The dragon kept trying to fly away, so I would have to hop out and take it on. This area was also crawling with mobs as well. I didn't let that distract me though. The main target was this big guy. He kept flying away every time I was getting good shots on him. Dragons take the most damage on the head and the wings and the tail. I just knew I was getting closer to killing him, and I was excited. All this effort to get here, it took me ages. I'm really hoping after all this effort that I get an egg. This would be the greatest way to go. It looked like the dragon was trying to get out of here. I couldn't see him much, but I kept seeing the redness every time I hit him. After a few more shots, I finally slayed the dragon. The relief that came with killing it was absolutely needed. I didn't realize how long I spent trying to actually kill this dragon. Unfortunately, with all that effort, I didn't get an egg, and I was pretty upset. I still, however, had a look at everything that could have been in here, and they had some good loot. Especially the third chest. That chest had diamond chest plate and a diamond sword. Out of nowhere though, while I was searching, this terrifying creature pops out of nowhere. It was a troll. I didn't realize that these guys were even in the game. I started running away to use my bow on it, but that did no damage, only just to find out that the mobs had killed it. So it seems like the mobs and trolls don't get along. After continuously getting harassed by all these mobs, it was time to leave. My work was done here. I had slain one of the biggest dragons that I've fought. When I left this area, I came across one of the biggest fortresses that I've ever seen in my entire journey of this world. This fortress was absolutely huge. I think it was the Empire's, and this was something I was gonna take down. This would be one of the greatest battles to fight in. I went to have a look to see if any guys would attack me, but I don't think these guys knew who I was, and that was perfect for a surprise attack. Especially since this is one of the Empire's main fortresses. And I couldn't wait to bring this castle down. After days of searching for another dragon to take on, I found one, but I came from the top. This dragon was very destructive. It nearly just broke all the blocks on top of me. I nearly kept falling. I really didn't want to go back to my kingdom with nothing. I couldn't tell what this dragon had. This was very persistent though. I definitely spent longer on this dragon than the last one that I killed. I hated being so far away from my kingdom because the time it would take to get back there would be forever. I was really hoping that out of this dragon I would get the egg and make the trip worth it. However, the dragon kept spinning around. It didn't even do that much attacks to me, to be honest. And once again, I knew I was getting close to killing it because it kept moving around faster and trying to fly away. After my last couple of shots, the dragon had fallen to the ground. It was another one defeated. It was a bit annoying this time because I had to find a way to get to the ground safely, and it was always infested with mobs. The mobs came at me with full force as soon as I got down, not to mention that another troll was coming after me again. If this many creatures and mobs were coming after me, I knew that dragon had that egg. I built up quick as I could. I didn't want to let this troll win and be the reason why I can't even get a dragon egg. In spite of all of this, the zombies came and saved me and started attacking the troll. It was oddly weird to see actual mobs defend me for once. I let the mobs go at him because I wanted to get down and I knew I could escape the zombies and creepers, but not the troll. So the game thinks I actually killed it, which is crazy, and I got an achievement for it. Thank you to the zombies that actually defended me. You helped me out so much. After all the hassle, I finally got to the dragon and took everything I possibly could. And man, I got very lucky with this one. Out of nowhere, I get an achievement. Mother of Dragons, which means I got an egg. And of course the creeper had to ruin the moment. I was absolutely stoked, and it was a grey egg, meaning it would be a powerful dragon. After all that effort, all the pain, everything was worth it. It was finally time to start heading home and getting out of here. I missed it so much. And I needed it because I needed to raise the dragon there. This was one of my biggest successes in the game. I finally get home, and it's good to see the colony is still thriving. Nothing majorly changed except for a couple of buildings were made. There was a couple of new builder huts and there was a barracks so the colony could defend themselves while I'm gone. The town hall and more citizen houses were upgraded also. There was also just more people in the colony in general, and the warehouse was stocking up on everything. However, that excitement needed to be left behind as it was time to raise this dragon. We first needed to hatch it, and to do that it depended on what dragon you had. I had the grey one. That means I had to use the netherrack and flint and steel. If you see, I put the dragon egg in and it has a little animation. Why do the creepers like bothering me so much? Leave me alone, man. Now, I did the stupidest move to mankind, which is put it right next to wood. Why would I do that? Shan. The excitement, I think, was blinding me on what I was doing. The dragon would take a couple of minutes to finally be raised. It would take some time. I just sat there waiting every minute, hoping I would hear a sound. But I would just more like be a firefighter every second as it kept burning all the wood in this building. The minutes felt like hours when I was waiting for this dragon to hatch. I am never hatching a dragon next to wood ever again. That was the most silliest mistake I've ever done. I feel like hatching this dragon has brought every creeper to mankind to come get me. 5 minutes had passed by and I'm still putting out the fires in this building. It was getting me absolutely agitated. My colony was probably wondering what the hell I was doing that would cause this building to burn down. With all that patience, the dragon finally came out. Look at him. I'm gonna call him Saint Roger IV. One of my most favourite things about this when they're a baby is that they actually can be on your shoulder. Within the next few days, the dragon started growing very quickly. He was even destroying buildings little by little. I would have to put him behind the barracks to keep him safe so he destroys nothing more. When I returned to the castle, I used all the iron I have and made him armor, and it absolutely looked amazing. The armor required iron blocks, so you would have to use up a lot of resources to make it. They could have armor for their head, wings, body, and tail. If I was going to take the dragon into battle and let him go at it killing everyone, he would need to have armor. With that in mind, I wanted to take a look at the colony more and see if they needed any more help. Especially with the next plan, I wasn't going to be at the colony for a very long time. But I set up a bunch of build plans like forgeries, barracks, everything to keep the colony safe. I would also develop the town hall to be upgraded to level 4 because it would make the colony be able to defend itself. I also needed more builders. I think that was very important. The more builders, the more buildings that would be done, and I would come back to a massive colony. The next battle was going to be the final battle that I've fought. This one was going to be big, and the last one that I needed. It's crazy from how day 1 to day 6, we just set up a little colony and we're this far in. It took so much time and so much effort and so much risk as well. And especially of building up our army as well, that was no easy task. Especially making the armor and also making all the food. You have to keep your soldiers fed and you also need all the resources. With that in mind, I just chose the next couple of days to be relaxing. I just watched all the builders build, do their jobs. It was very satisfying to watch. As much as I loved fighting for my empire, it would also take so much time for a battle to get done. I expanded a lot of our buildings out towards near my castle. The main inner city was getting way too full, so I had to start going all around all these hills and everything just to build. It would also take up a lot of the builders' time. They would be focusing on terraforming the land before they build, and they took a long time to do that. I think for now, the colony doesn't need anything else from me. They were thriving themselves, and they were getting everything done with themselves. Unlike in the first week of doing this, they couldn't even do one single thing. So with that in mind, I think this is all I need to do. It's time to start taking over that castle. It was time to finally see my dragon to see what it's become, and man, you could just see it from here. I put all the armor on it and my goodness, it looks amazing. There was no time to waste. It was time to gather all the armies from the fortresses and outposts to take on this one large fortress of the Empire. Dragon rose its wings and it flew off super quickly. I just know they're gonna be devastated when they see a dragon. This would be the one final attack I needed to be the king. I finally get to all the outposts and start grouping up all the soldiers. We would need everyone on deck, every archer, every swordsman. We would need every siege weapon we could possibly use to get through those walls. I knew it was gonna take a while. The soldiers all saw me from the fortress and knew it was time to move out. Everyone, welcome to the final battle of the 100 Days episode. All our forces were gathered, all the siege equipment was ready, and we even had the dragon on standby. We weren't planning to take over the castle, we were only just gonna make sure it's destroyed or everyone was killed. If this so-called empire that we were attacking didn't just randomly attack me for no reason, perhaps it wouldn't have been this way, but we'll never know. Siege equipment was being used to shoot into the city, then we would attack the walls. Every soldier was eager to push in, I could just sense it. It was finally time. Every soldier pushed in, every soldier knew what they were here for. I told the siege engineers to keep firing at the castle, no one should survive inside. They had already sent out resistance out from the gate, but it was no match for my soldiers. I commanded them all to go inside and completely take down this castle. We would have to check every building and every potential thing that could be a threat to us. We kept searching the building, seeing if there was any resistance that we could find or any loot, but there was not much. I think everyone knew the might of our empire and how strong we were, and they left the city immediately. And for some reason my soldiers like opening and closing the gates a million times. Battle happening all around the castle, there were soldiers everywhere, everyone was in different places, I couldn't tell where everyone was. The castle was that wide, so I couldn't get all my soldiers together, we would have to split up in squads. I was also alone a lot in this battle, there was different times where I had some men come and help me, and there were other times where I was alone and had to take on a bunch of soldiers myself. A lot of the troops here seemed to be the most advanced ones, they had good weapons, good armor, and they seemed like they could just take on most of my soldiers. The enemy's army had ran into the inner castle with all the archers outside defending and all the swordsmen in. I had a quick bodyguard on me that I could summon just to protect me because it was hard fighting alone as it is. These guys just kept coming out of nowhere, there was more men just spawning every corner. I really needed to find some soldiers just so they could come in with me and start taking this inner castle. This is how we would win. The soldiers had started coming in slowly. They were all starting to gather up and start killing all the men that were attacking me. A large force of my soldiers came down from the corner and started backing me up. They were killing every soldier they saw around this area. I got these couple of soldiers that were around to make them follow me. I needed that inner castle to be conquered, otherwise we were going to lose. We started pushing up on the towers and killing every archer that we saw. There was more archers in this city than actual swordsmen. It felt like it was just entirely just fighting people with bows. There was so many near-deaths experience. I nearly died a bunch of times in this battle. It was absolutely terrifying. We were getting closer to pushing everyone in the inner castle. The soldiers got more advanced with iron armor, diamond armor, and heaps of diamond tools. The only issue that we were facing this battle was the archers on the rooftops were killing all my men, so I had to get a couple of my soldiers to go up there with me. But a lot of these areas were guarded by spearmen on every corner as well. They were literally everywhere. I can't express that enough. The battle was lasting so many days as well. It felt like we were fighting forever. We had to go to little hiding spots just to even get a little bit of time to relax or even heal up. But there was no point in being fatigued. This fight needed to be won. We started pushing up more towards the castle and we found the archers that were shooting all of our men below. They'd either be killed on here or they'd be pushed off the edge. There was no surviving for them. But I had to keep remembering, I needed to stay alive as well. I had to hide every time they got close to killing me. My diamond sword was saving me, but the spearmen were way too powerful than I realized. How did they have so many archers stationed in every position? I kept going into each individual tower to make sure it was all cleared out. I needed my men to come back home as much as I wanted to. There was so many different areas in this castle. I have to give it to these guys. They for sure know how to design something up very beautiful. I kept continuously pushing, hoping that the light of the day would come soon and the victory would be ours. They had this castle held right at the top. Every single soldier seemed to be there. But I had one soldier come in and back me up, which made this entire bit easier. These were very fast bowmen. They were really persistent on killing me. Their army was starting to break. They were looking for ways to keep fighting, but they had no spirit left after seeing all their comrades killed. Dawn was rising, and the last remaining forces were starting to fade. As the bright beams of sunlight greet the early morning dawn, the battle is won. All the soldiers that we were trying to take on had spread out to the walls. The inner castle was ours. Before the battle was completely won, we had to clear out the streets and the outer walls. The enemies were losing their hope. The walls couldn't protect them. The areas that they hid in, they had nowhere to hide. Knowing that victory was in our eyes, all the soldiers still had morale to keep fighting. The last remaining forces kept making things very difficult for me, but I kept coming back at them. The spearmen kept always ambushing me. Every time I was close to death, that would be the only time they would come out. There wasn't that much archers left. I just had a little more to go. I was getting very low on supplies to keep helping, but the soldiers had it covered. I took on the last remaining soldiers and tried to heal up as much as possible. Until I noticed something on that wall, something that was very large just lying on the ground. My poor dragon, Roger, he was killed in the middle of battle. I couldn't believe it. The one dragon that took me all that effort to get was killed in the middle of battle, just like that. With the battle being won, there was a lot of losses in sight. My dragon was one of the biggest ones that we could have possibly faced. All the raising, all the effort to get him, it was all for nothing. I at least took all of his stuff, all of his armor off, made sure that he completely disappeared so he could rest in peace. As I stare at the sun, I notice that with all these losses, was it really worth it? Was it worth all this pain? I have no idea. I was glad to fight with every soldier beside me. At least everyone was loyal to the king. It was time to head home. I think I suffered enough war as it is. With the last 10 days, I spent the rest of it at the colony of where it all started. I was absolutely baffled by what the war had made me feel. I finally returned to my castle. I'm ready to take off all my armor, everything, and I'm just ready to build my colony. There was nothing that I really wanted other than just simply making sure that we thrive. As much as this is beautiful armor, I don't need it anymore. With all the loot that I gathered, I put it all away. I only just wanted a couple of items on me. I took the full set of the iron armor in case I had to fight off raiders against a colony or I had to go search at more dungeons. I came back to help with some things, just to keep the buildings thriving. It was finally time to upgrade most of the buildings to the max level. Most of the buildings were nearly done, but if I wanted to keep going, I would have to keep extending the territory. I also found out that I can have other colonies around the world as well. That might be something for later. I know I've said it 100 times this episode, but it's really good to see where we started. We had nothing at the start. Everyone played their roles correctly, everyone was there for the Empire, our Shanavi Empire. Everyone was defending the village. Even then we still had some raiders come in and attack us, but it was nothing that bad anymore. They weren't as persistent, they didn't come in a lot of numbers.
I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back.
I have to admit, I still nearly died, which was absolutely crazy.
I'll be back.
The town hall was going under level 5 construction. It built up its own little defense system as well. So if we ever had a time where we got attacked, everyone could run in here and be safe and have the archers defend. I also changed everyone's name tags to blue, as that's the colour of our empire. On the last day of this episode, I finalised everything that was going on. I made sure everything was running, I made sure everyone was happy, and I made sure there was no raiders before I could look at the sunset. This was a very intense 100 days. I finally went to the edge of the castle and had to look at the sunset of everything that's happened. Thank you all for joining me on the journey of our empire. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please look after yourselves, and until next time. Hey guys, I hope we're all doing well and I hope you're having a good day. Now, before this video ends, I just want to discuss a couple of things. Man, what a ride this video was. I just want to show evidence that there is 100 days just before anyone says anything. First of all, let's discuss a couple of things about this mod. First of all, it was in 1.12.2. Yes, I was playing this mod in the old version of Minecraft, and mind you, this made it very hard to play. A lot of the NPCs are outdated. The thing that I built the colonies with was actually all outdated as well. I couldn't build a lot of stuff that apparently I could be told to build. With the NPCs and all the fighting, that's called Ancient Warfare 2. Now, I was very frustrated. A lot of it was so broken, it was not funny, and it caused the game to lag like a lot. While making this video, I had heaps of crashes, heaps of files deleted, accidentally deleting files, having to re-record. It was very hard, but I did enjoy the experience, which I want people to know. But it was very difficult in a sense with, like, well, I want to explain the castle. You're probably all wondering, like, how that got there. I didn't realize this, but some of the builds that we use to build up in the Ancient Warfare mod can be made instantly, and I didn't realize this. So when I placed it down, it was instantly built, kind of destroying the whole atmosphere, but I just wanted to be honest with you guys, so I tried to sort of make it like that it was being built, but I just wanted to keep honest with you guys. But I cannot stress enough, this entire thing I've been doing, like literally today alone, I deleted some files by accident trying to clear space to export the video, and I deleted the audio files which removed all my audio, and I luckily had a backup in my my other drive. I nearly lost it all, man, it was crazy. And while recording this, man, I have to be honest, this was very, very laggy. Not all the time, but I'm just going to show you an example of what I was going through most of the recording sessions. Here we go. No, that wasn't you lagging, that was me. I'm not kidding, that's how it was playing the game. Other than that, it was a great experience, and for the first 100 days video, it was a lot of work. I've got a lot of things to learn, a lot of things that I have to fix up, but like I said, it's my first go, so giving it my best shot, and I want to just be honest with you guys about a couple of things. I want the trust between us as an audience. But regardless, I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a good rest of your week, and if you have any questions, just DM me on Discord. I make time for everyone.